We always try to address art last, not because it's not important, but because it's often the first thought that people have. What we'll do is work with design teams to get the foundations right and then allow the art to almost be the flower on the tree, so to speak.
When projects always start with country, it's telling us that we're centering community, we're centering culture.
It was all about trying to embed First Nations values and storytelling throughout the fabric of the space, not just as a very literal response. We've got a pretty long-standing relationship with Arup, but we were brought on to collaborate and embed some of those stories throughout their work as well as what we were delivering. There was a very beautiful and important creek that came down from the centre of the city where Queen Street is and along down to the Botanic Gardens. And so our building kind of abuts that in a metaphorical sense. And that creek's really important for a lot of reasons, namely that they were always important places of gathering, learning, exchange between our matriarchs, our women that held so much knowledge about medicine, about ecology, about responsibility, and how that was just handed down to the children of those areas. They're also safe spaces because they were the low point. So if you're up high, you can see everything down there. And then we think about the character of those spaces, you know, datums on stones from the water laying on different algae and how you can get contrast from that. And you can see that in some of the seating behind me. I'm using the red versus the pale blondes of the timber floor and so on. So it's quite subtle, and it went through many, many iterations to get there, but it really holds that idea of gathering and exchange, I suppose, that cultivates something special. For the delivery of the ceiling artwork, we work with the artist Keisha Leon. We work with her to unpack some of these ideas that Auntie Kerry, the Yagara elder, shared with us around this idea of being in the creek but looking up, and the knowledge in sky country being cast down on you, almost like a mirror. What happens on land happens in sky, which is a very important and prominent idea that it's expressed in many communities in the continent. So Keisha used her expertise as an artist, and we worked with her to curate simple and subtle ways to embed that, not just as an applied finish, but in the actual material of the ceiling. And it's expressed all the way through, not just in this central area, but into the office and working spaces and so on.
One of the things that I think is really successful about this project is the kind of textural moments that happen, these unexpected moments, especially with the furniture pieces we did with 5 Mile Radius.
In a lot of the tables throughout the office, on the top and just at the edges underneath, if you touch your hands to it, again, this idea of not directly seeing but feeling it, there's little carved moments that have been done with 5 Mile Radius. We've done some incredible work using recycled material, holding to that idea of caring for country and sustainability. But the little carved moments are meant to be reflective of some of the cultural practices that took place of carving and using oysters and animals that are found by the creek and in the creek, and how during carving and exchange these textures would appear where our people were. But again, you can't always see those things. So these little nods are throughout the office all over the place to tell that story in a new way. We're always on country. Even if you're on the 26th floor in the middle of a city, there's stories in everything, no matter where you walk and where you stand. And the subtlety of some of these stories really, I hope, encourages that idea of exploration and yearning to connect with the stories that have always been here so we can hold them with care.